Well, hello and welcome to Mark My Words. Once again, it's a podcast offering a glimpse into alternative paradigms hiding just beneath the surface of everyday life. And one of our very first and most pertinent questions is, what if? And the past couple of segments of our What If have been involved with Mark Cornelius's book on RUT management. We have gone through an introduction. We've also gone through what is my RUT? And we're continuing on because in our last segment, we pretty much ran out of time trying to explain a couple of things. And we were introducing the idea of managing my RUT. What's my RUT? And then Mark was getting ready to present a wannabe exercise. And also that came in conjunction with the RUT map that we had set up there for you folks. Mark is with us today. Good morning, Mark. I hope all is well with you.
All is well, Paul. I hope the same with you. And we are doing, again, as you said, looking at the RUTs, what's my RUT exercises, and specifically the RUT map. So I really appreciate your explaining that. And also the fact that, as Ricky Ricardo would say, there's a lot of splaining to do. So, Lucy, we're going to get on to splaining some more, okay?
Sounds like a plan, Mark. And I think you had left us there with that whole area in the bottom part of the path that was really directed toward the elements all the way up to where you have marked as a pit. And that's when you pretty much commented that what we really needed to do was to try to go into a wannabe exercise, because it is when we get into a pit, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have to go back and sometimes reassess ourselves and make sure that we're heading in our wannabe direction, if you will.
That is absolutely correct. And so with that explanation, what I'm going to do is get into hold on here. I'm doing this in a very methodical way, I believe. Something that
you are.
Well, I'm trying to anyway. The one thing about ruts is that they sometimes require training as well. So we're trying to get that training set up here. But with that being said, I'm going to get into a very specific exercise here. And this is what's called the wannabe exercise. So if I can explain this in more detail, at the beginning of any rut, typically we start walking through the rut, whether people think, okay, I know I'm in a rut and that's a good thing, or they don't know they're in a rut, or they want to get out of the rut, whatever. If you want to do this right, if I want to do it right, I need to know what it is that I really expect out of the whole adventure. And so what I've done is put together some things that really help me in deciding what destination I'm trying to arrive at, okay? Not where I eventually end up, but where I'm intending to be. Because things change, we know that, but how do we start on this process? So we're going to talk about our wannabe. For me, and I think we talked about this a little bit, but I thought I wanted to be this famous musician one day and, go on the road and all of that, write musicals and blah-de-da. And I realized somewhere along the way, this isn't really what I signed up for. And I'm not happy in that portion of my rut. So do I change my rut, or do I adjust my rut so that it takes me on the course that I really want to be on, and I don't get stuck in a periodic interruption of trajectory, a pit. That being said, what I did was start saying, you know what, I really like writing, and that's something I want to do. I might not ever make any money at it, but that's really who I am. I'm a writer. Maybe not a musician even. So I started adjusting my rut, say, I'm going to write. And even if I have to take on another profession or career or job to support my wannabe, my desire, I'm going to do that. And there we go. That's how it all started. That's how the books started. Now, and what was so cool and exciting about inspiring that dream in me, music was a great portion, still is, of my life. But what I found is that when I was able to put something down on paper or on the computer that other people were reading and reacting to, um, it wasn't even how they were reacting. It was just the satisfaction of knowing, you know what, I got a thought down on paper. And that was kind of cool. And we can go into the spiritual aspects of that. Some people might agree or disagree with that, but it was something that was so satisfying to me and exciting. I said, that's my rut. That's where I'm going. And let's make an adventure out of that. So that helped me remember what caused my wannabe to come about. And then did I look back and act that out? Yeah, you've got to look at it and say, okay, I was I was headed on a path and it needed a little adjusting. Sometimes you're going to find I've got to abandon this altogether. I've got to get into a new rut. It takes a lot of work, but you can do it. And that's what I thought. Again, I wanted this to be my vocation, not my avocation, and quickly realized, well, no, I'm going to need a job to support me. And so that took some real adjusting. And then I found that there were others who wanted to walk that rut with me. Okay. That was a real comforting thing. When I found that there was support for what I was doing, that there were people who wanted to walk alongside and say, hey, we like your rut. We'll get in that with you for a little while and we'll continue to walk alongside. Oh my gosh, that was just the endorsement I needed to say, okay, I'm going well. Sometimes you're going to get in a rut and people are saying, I want no part of this. Everybody says that. Suddenly you're going to find yourself to be a trailblazer. You are, you're out there on your own. For some people, that's okay. I, on the other hand, want to make sure that I'm walking in concert with other people. There's a musical term for it. I really like the idea that there are other people who are on either similar paths or on the same path with me. That's important. And, the metaphor of going out to the wild, wild west, some people want to be on the pony out front, tackling the Indians all by themselves. Other people want to be on the wagon train. I kind of like the wagon train, quite frankly. So that's my rut. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And the good points that I was picking up off of your wannabe exercise for those who are interested, to me, the part that really struck home for me was the question that you asked about what was so cool or exciting or even inspiring about whatever dreams you actually have.
Yeah.
And then actually going about in remembering those things, well, where do I go from here to maintain that level of excitement and inspiration? And
Well,
I'm sure that's another topic altogether.
back
But
to the rut map.
yes, absolutely. Back to the rut map. And please explain to me, let's say that I'm just starting out and I have all kinds of energy and excitement, and I make some decisions that are about my wannabe situation. And I realize that I'm inspired by a particular thing, uh, profession, or whatever it is that we're talking about here, whatever our dreams are.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do to maintain that excitement?
Really great question. Along the way, you're going to find uh, not only that there are bridges to be crossed, but that you're going to see landmarks, things that remind you that this is how I started out, this is where I'm going, this is how I came about. Keep those memories, those rememberings because they are very, very important. And that's what should keep you excited. Plus the fact, as I said, make sure that you're involving other people in your rut or letting them know what's going on. And if you get a lot of kickback, it depends on who you are. It may not be the place you want to be. But on the other hand, if you are so determined and so inspired by what you're doing, even when you hit an occasional hiccup, or things seem to be mundane and you go, my gosh, is this really where I want to be headed? If it's truly a dream that you have been inspired to follow, you'll stick with it. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. You'll be reminded when you hit those landmarks, I want to stick with this. If not, you might want to consider a new rut. Just don't quickly jump off and say, oh man, this is boring, I want to go do something else. Let me go down the candy aisle instead of going down the good food aisle. And okay, candy's good every once in a while, that's great, but you don't want to make a steady diet out of that. So make sure that you plan, and if you need to head off in a new direction, you're going to want to make sure to re-examine your wannabes. The thing also to remember, Paul, is when you're doing this, and even if you have side trips, that destination that you're after is never really truly defined. It's always going to be something that is a little bit unknown. That's the exciting part of it, the adventure of it. Your wannabe is what you always want to keep in mind. Your gonna be is something that's going to evolve and change as you go along that path.
I've got you. So the landmarks themselves that you have marked there in sense of orientation are things that really kind of affirm that you're headed in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But we also have to accept the fact that what our destination actually is may change from time to time. It may change shape and form. May be harder to get to the next landmark or the next little piece that keeps us aware of the fact that we may be on the right track in our lives. But then again, at the same time, it also may be a time for us to assess and say, is my desire, is what's exciting me still the same? Is that kind of what you're saying there as well?
It is. And I'll even define that a little bit more, because when we talk about destinations, and I say that it's going to change, actually the destination doesn't change, I change. Okay.
That's a great point.
I honestly don't know the true destination. I can get very spiritual here, and watch out, we'll have another conversation about that. I don't know all of the dimensions of that destination. I know it exists. I know it. And the reason I know it is because I've been given this wannabe that I have worked at and repaired and searched out other encouragers and looked at it for me from a spiritual standpoint. Others might not agree with that, but the truth of it is that you put that all together, there is a destination out there. I'm changing. I will arrive at my gonna be. And the more I plan with my wannabe, the more it's going to look like my gonna be as I approach it.
Great point. Great point. And I'm sure that this is actually in your book with rut management.
Oh my gosh, my book. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what this might be time to go ahead and pop up the information, your contact information, Mark, because unfortunately we've yet but again run out of some time.
Did we do that again? Oh my gosh. see, they're having so much fun at this, and I don't know. I hope other people are. I'd love to hear from them. You would too. But you can always get in touch with us at markcwrights@gmail.com. If you want to look at the books, including Rut Management, which is my very first wannabe book, you can go to the website www.rutmanagement.com. You can also engage us on Facebook at Mark My Words and see all of the different episodes and also any dialogue that might be going on. Or you can hit us up on YouTube, and we'd love to have you join us on these. In the future, we'll be doing some things where we have live broadcasts and people can either send in their questions, or we might actually be brave enough to have them call in. I don't know. That's a part of the rut I haven't gotten to yet. I don't know about you, but
Hey, great point. And also the other piece that I would like to add for your listeners as well, Mark, is the fact that perhaps you may be inviting guests on to speak about their own personal ruts and how they manage them.
absolutely. And we'll be talking about that. There's some great people out there doing some amazing things in their ruts that we want to encourage them and, for that matter, challenge them, just as we would want to be challenged and say, are you going in the right direction? And you'll find very quickly that people who are inspired and love their ruts are going to just jump all over that, and others are going to go, I don't know. Well, that's a good thing for us thinkers, hey thinkers out there, to be critical about and to consider for our own ruts. So, as the I'm going to stop sharing here and just I've got
There
the
you are.
T-shirt, and I mean it with all sincerity and encouragement. Right on.
Thank you, Mark. Once again, this has been Mark My Words. And my name is Paul, by the way. I did not introduce myself early on, but on our way out, I'll just say my name is Paul. And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And hope to see you again on our next segment. Thanks again, Mark.
You're welcome, and see you later.